Yes, yes, yes. It is the Cast Worthy podcast. And we are back. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine, joined today by none other than EJ, the sophisticated savage. It's I don't even know what today's date is. Today's April it's Saturday, April 16th, and or sorry, Sunday, April 16th. And yeah, we're here. Week after Easter, day after playoffs started, NBA playoffs. Lot to talk about today.
How about them Knicks, baby?
Knicks Tate.
Knicks Tate.
Uh, yeah, man. Yeah, the Knicks is out there. Some other teams out there getting it done. Um, yeah. So where we can be found really quick. Just about anywhere. uh, look for us on Spotify, Apple, podcasts, all the norms there, right? iHeartRadio. We're now on Audible through Amazon. So if you're a Prime member, switch over to Audible. Check us out. And Spreaker, Podchaser, uh, a bunch of shit. Go on Google, type in cast spaced worthy podcast, and you'll get a list of places where to find us. Obviously, social media. We're on Instagram, Castworthy_podcast, and on Facebook, Castworthy Podcast. Interact, comment, send us some messages, send some likes, dislikes, and then you can find us here on YouTube, of course. Search for Castworthy Podcast. We do our live streams on Sundays. We target 9 a.m. We never make it. It's just the way it goes.
Negro time.
Yeah. So don't wake up looking for us at 9. Look for us like 9:15, 9:30.
It's 10:30 right now.
Yeah, 10:30.
Oh my gosh.
But other than that, man, what's going on? What you up to?
Hey man, it's a beautiful day. You know what I mean? Just gonna enjoy the vibes. Go to brunch with the old lady.
Weather's
Mhm.
moving in up there, huh?
It's nice now. Yeah, I mean, I think I think we can finally prepare for nice weather. Because 1 minute is like, let's wear some shorts. Last week it was cold out here with a hoodie on. Like, yo, it was rough. Rough.
Yeah. It's I guess as soon as you seen people walking down the street in wife beaters yet? Like once you get that wife beater day, then when you see dudes walking down the street in wife beaters,
Yeah.
it's time.
It's been a couple of days where dudes was like bare shirt. It was that hot. You know what I'm saying? But last week it was hot, then it hit us with that cold day. It was like, yo, what's going on?
Do we need to
Global warming.
rebrand that? Do we have to stop calling them wife beaters, yo?
I'm
Like,
surprised they haven't been canceled already.
where first of all, where did that come from? The term wife beater. And second of all, how have we made it through all of cancel culture through 2023 and they're still called wife beaters in our culture?
Yo, that's crazy.
Like, you ever think about it?
Yo, and yo, I asked my mother what they called them right back in the day. She was like, "We called them A shirts." I was like, "Why you call them A shirts?" She's like, "Cause the Italians used to wear it and they'd be like, A." It's like, what?
It's fucked up because on the package they're called A shirts. So,
I don't know. I
so
don't.
if you go buy a package from Hanes, it says A shirts, right? So they probably just call them A shirts. And black people like, damn, why do we call them A shirts? I know why.
Oh shoot! And then the wife beater.
Because
Some
Tony and them.
right, the wife beater. Like, what? Where does that come from? Like,
Yeah, that shit wild. That shit wild.
nasty work, bro.
Yeah. Like when I
Nasty.
when I try to think of like how that originated, I'm thinking somebody was sitting there thinking about a hot summer day, and a dude gets home, he mad about something, he just got on a beater, just gets right to it.
Yeah.
You ain't make the grits.
Yo, that's so nasty, bro. Like,
Ever since then, white beaters, and you know what? Women call them wife beaters too.
yeah,
Like,
no,
you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, yeah.
I
It's a
guess
culture.
Like when I listen, when I hear it and, and somebody says wife beater, I don't associate it with like beating wives. I associate
Right.
it immediately with a shirt.
Yeah.
Like it's a wife beater.
But getting to the nature and the origin, like what would possess somebody to be like, yo, it's a wife beater? Like what?
Hmm.
Like it's
Yeah,
nothing that even goes, nothing that even makes sense about it. That you know what I mean? That you could just be like, oh, that's why it makes sense. No, it's just nasty, like a wife beater. It's just nasty.
how do we get from tank tops to wife beaters?
Right.
Like that's wild. But
That's
yeah,
funny.
I don't know where that came from or why. Oh, we were talking about summertime. Yeah, so you can start bracing for the news reports. You know, as soon as it gets nice out, people start saying they ops because people's having fun. Obviously that's not condoned, but it happens, man. And you know, to young boys out there, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth laying down for, you know, 10, 15, 20 years. Even if it's 5, 10 years, you know, it ain't worth it, man. It's not. If somebody ain't assault you or your family, it ain't worth laying down, man.
Yeah, and
Life is
it's
short.
we. I just saw something, and I was because I was out yesterday, moving around yesterday, doing my thing. But I just saw something. It was like 4 or 5 people shot. I'm not sure if it was here or DC. But it's like again when we go back to the mass shootings, right? We talk about the mass shootings, when it happens in a school and in suburbia and all of that is tragedy, right? But it happens so frequently in our communities, and the narrative doesn't seem to have the same steam. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
where we know the guns are in the hood, we know they're illegally there, so this is not even a legal thing. How do we get the guns out of our neighborhoods? How do we stop that? Because in DC, I'm gonna tell you, man, and I might have said this before, but 85%, I would say almost 85% of the guys I've seen arrested in DC have a firearm on their person during the time of their arrest. I'm, I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, 85. Steve, I'm talking about. I don't know not one kid that came in there, one man that came in. I don't care if they 55, 60, whatever, disabled, whatever. They coming in there with a firearm, bro. And DC, is as small as DC is, for everyone to be walking around with pistols, it's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And they're literally carrying it in the name of protection because it's literally like the Wild West.
Because nobody want to fight no more.
Yeah,
Nobody
I
want to
mean,
fight no more.
nobody is fighting no more.
Like when we was younger, you see somebody, you have a problem. For the most part, you fight it. Like you know what I'm saying. When I see you, put your hands up. Like that's what it was, you know. And it just seems like it's changed, and I think it has to do. We've talked about it before, with you know, it going from being embarrassment in front of the 4 or 5 people that might see it happen to the embarrassment of the whole city, state, internet, you know, the whole
Mhm.
United States potentially going viral if if things go wrong, right, you know, as far as posting. You could end up like the girl that got beat up by Sharkeisha. You know what I'm saying? And everybody sees it. So I think that's partially why it's a little different now.
But you know what, too, though? These kids, they fight. I mean, I would definitely say DC. They DC definitely. They still get busy with that aspect, but the hatred and the lack of regard for human life is totally different, bro. You know what I'm
We
saying?
see it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. We see it every day, and people are desensitized to it because it's all over. You open up social media and just scroll down your timeline and your algorithm. No matter who you are, if you follow anything, you know, Shade Room, any one of those blogging sites, you're gonna see, oh, so and so got shot, boy got shot, man got shot, three got shot, five got shot, and now you're not even just seeing the headline. Now you're seeing the videos because everybody has a camera phone and the internet's not censoring it. Instagram don't care, Facebook don't care, Twitter don't care. They like, yo, whatever, man. It's gonna drive people to stay here, and people are building their followings. Let's go ahead and put it. We saw PNB. We seen a rapper, like a dude that's a big name, bleeding out. On camera the day it happened. Like it wasn't even like a week later, a month later. These local stops, we're seeing cops shoot dudes in the back, like the dude that stole a car, fell asleep at the wheel. The cops jump in the car, start shaking him up. He gets rattled, drives away. They shoot him in the back. Dude sitting, the cops in the back seat, shoots him in the back. He died. Like, come on, man. We're seeing that shit every day. These kids are desensitized to it, and so they don't realize that the act of taking someone's life or just someone dying is serious. They think it's just an everyday thing.
Yeah, the loss of life and the value of life, it just it's not there. What I mean, it's just not there in our urban neighborhoods in our cities. And like you said, people these cats are really not realizing their lives are changed forever. And in like I said in DC, a lot of people don't remember that, DC not being a full state, right? Having full statehood, if you commit a felony in DC, you're going to the federal penitentiary.
Mm.
So it's like people don't even realize that. And it's like when the DC Blacks gang was pretty much running and still runs the federal prison system, people couldn't understand why, but it's because they outnumber any other place in the country as far as incarceration in the federal system. Because anything they do that's a felony, they're going to the feds. And for a lot of these guys, it's a norm. It's like a rite of passage. It's like, yeah, I went to the feds. I was 19. Like, can you imagine going to the federal prison at the age of 19, leaving DC to go to El Paso? This is not for base camp. It's not for military.
Hmm.
You going in a federal penitentiary where there's Aryans, there's Mexicans, Colombians, you know what I mean? And you literally in life and death situations. And it's like the value for your life and to just having the promise of having a better life is just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist in a lot of
most
ways.
most of these kids ain't even like that. You know what I mean? They're out there. Somebody hypes them up to do it, and now they got to spend time. We seen it with the I forget the story I was reading the other day, but we see it all the time. Like dudes, they get in there, and they don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's a matter of survival at that point, especially if you do that kind of crime, because you and there with dudes that's gonna be there for 10 to nobody that's sitting there like, you know what, I'm gonna keep my behavior good as if you were to go to somewhere local because I'm gonna get out. These cats don't care. They got 15, 20, 25. What's another 3, 5 years for beating the brakes off of you? you know and meanwhile they out here, they're shooting each other, and I'll quote the internet: "Ain't nobody seen Zimmerman yet. No, nobody, not a one of them, done seen Zimmerman yet." So they'll find Takashi. They'll find Takashi though, but they're not gonna find Zimmerman. So we just gotta do better, man. But yeah, to your point, soon as first hot day, 80 degrees in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and everybody goes out to the spot. Park, Seaside Park. 3 people get shot. Like it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But yeah, man. Just hope everybody remains safe. People are gonna be looking to get back out and about now that COVID is officially over. So it's gonna be, everybody outside, summertime, and or it's gonna be summertime. And not only is it ops you gotta worry about, you gotta worry about innocent people walking down the street. The pregnant lady that walks into the gas station to get a honey bun because she has a craving, and you decide that you guys want to set it off at a gas station. Like, it's shit like that, man.
Yeah, we got to do better. Got to figure this out.
Um, but welcome, VP has stumbled into the studio. Um, we were just recapping that it is April 15th, Sunday, and weather's changing.
16th.
uh 16, sorry, EJ has not told us whether or not he's still in a relationship, but he
I
did say
did too.
he said he's going to brunch with an old lady. So I'm
No, I didn't say
assuming.
with an old. I said with the old lady, and yes, I am still in a relationship. Yo, that's too funny on so many levels. Yeah, I gotta relax. What to do, VP?
I'm holding it down, man.
Pop.
Keep the
Trying to
fort.
maintain, man.
Keep the fort together.
Yeah, worrying about the old lady.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a old lady.
Hopefully that's all getting to get shit. We getting old. They all old ladies now. Well, if it ain't an old lady, then you got some R. Kelly issues going on. So, hopefully that's all getting better. That situation on that
Yeah,
front for you.
yeah,
Yeah,
trying, man. We're trending, but not out of the woods.
true, true. Um, Shout out to Aaron, and of course, while we're here, Jamie Foxx. Shout out to Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx had a medical situation that
Mm.
happened. They haven't released any details, and hopefully they don't. Like, keep shit private these days until he's ready. Hopefully he gets better and he can talk about it on his own accord. But his daughter came out and said that that he had a medical situation going on. He ended up in the hospital, and the most, I think it was ICU if I'm not mistaken. Most recent reports though from friends and family indicate that he is recovering. They're hoping, for him to fully recover. And you're seeing all the thoughts and prayers around the industry, and of people just telling stories, positive stories and stuff like that. And Jamie Foxx is an underrated talent in general, I would
One of the
say.
most talented people we've ever seen on TV.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Can act, sing, what I mean, just
piano,
does it all.
like, yeah, yeah, he does a little bit of everything, man. And so I think he's just not appreciated much. And you know like Jay-Z said, they never miss you till you're dead or you're gone. And hopefully, right, that's not the case here, but you got to give people their flowers while they're here. And Jamie Foxx is one of them. So hopefully a speedy recovery to him. And thoughts go out to him and his family and friends.
yeah. I mean, I hope whatever it is, they talk about it. I mean, awareness doesn't do nothing but help people. I know like a lot of people they want to know just because like, oh, he's a celebrity. What happened? That the
Hmm.
palace intrigue kind of thing. You know what I mean? But maybe you find out, oh, he was feeling this way, and then they went and got him checked out, and it turns out it was this bigger thing. And then it can let like regular people know, like, oh shit, like I remember that happened to me. I should go get checked out, because you
Hmm.
just never know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I agree.
I was looking at there was a commercial or ad of some kind where Steve Harvey was letting, basically looking at his 24 hours basically, like from wake to when he goes to bed. And it's like he was just talking about how he has good days and bad days, like everyone else. But I was just like, damn, this dude's schedule from when he wakes up, he does his morning show from like, let's say 6 to like 11 in the morning, and
Hmm.
then it's like he's right back at it. He's getting prepped for the studio to go do Family Feud, and then it's like he's doing that for like 6 7 hours. It's just like, yo, this dude literally didn't seem like he had a moment to breathe. Like he fit in a workout, but it was just like, damn, this dude is like seriously busy. And I could see how someone could be living that lifestyle and just pushing themselves. Add in with Jamie Foxx, who has a show, who does radio, and then who's still doing movies and just going, going, going. Like
Hmm.
I can imagine how your body just, breaks down.
And yeah, and eventually you try to find other ways to get energy. Like, we're not, we're in a day where nobody is just worried about natural energy, getting
Yeah.
rest, drinking water. Like, motherfuckers, like, oh, you got that agua gosha, whatever the fuck that shit, ashwagandha. Oh, let me get that. You know what I'm
What?
saying? Let me get the
Let me do a bump.
yeah, let me get the apple cider vinegar, like all of that
A
versus
bump is
just,
nasty.
yeah, the energy drinks, the extra caffeine versus just, getting the rest, man. And everybody, like, these dudes that get to it. Like,
Hmm.
Nick Cannon, same way. I was watching something yesterday about Rob Dyrdek. Nick Cannon basically was saying the same shit. Like, yo, I get up at 4 every morning, and it makes sense, especially if you live on the West Coast, because if you think about it, market time is basically on the East Coast, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you live in California and you don't wake up until say 8, 9 o'clock California time, you behind the eight ball from everything that happened on the East Coast, and a lot of stuff
Right.
is happening in New York, Miami, and so on. So it makes sense for those guys. Rob Dyrdek, similarly, like I was watching his something on him yesterday. He said the last 3 years of his life, he can account for every single hour of his life. He could tell you what he was doing on such a day. He's got it documented. He keeps a fucking journal and all of that. Like, for this hour he's doing it. And he said, when you do that, it makes it easier for you to determine what you are and aren't going to do, what you are available for, what you're not available for, because you know exactly what your days are going to look like and what your weeks are going to look like. And you can fit in, your wake up time, if you're a prayer person, you pray. If it's yoga, whatever that looks like, then your workout, then you take your hour of, he said he takes an hour and he does some brain exercises, whether it's reading or whatever that looks like, and then he starts to get to it, starts getting to work. So you're talking about getting up at 5, 6 in the morning, and you're not getting to anything really work related for 3 hours. We're not doing that as human, as regular everyday people.
Yeah.
We're getting up and getting to it within an hour, you know.
Mm-hmm. And Steve Harvey may be like that just because I saw him on a podcast and um he was like basically, years back, he had an accountant that fucked him over and he didn't even know. The accountant
Mm.
was basically stealing money from him when he was. Is the way he said it? It sounded like his ex-wife was involved in it too, but he didn't.
Surprise.
He didn't like call her out or whatever. But like that was like the vibe I was picking up or whatever, right? But anyway, the accountant for sure. And so he says like the accountant dies, and then the accountant's like assistant was going through all his stuff, and he found like all these checks from Steve Harvey. So what was happening was like the accountant was like, oh, okay, you owe 600,000 taxes. Steve Harvey cutting a check to the IRS, sending it to the accountant to send in with all the tax documents, and then the accountant and the ex-wife are basically taking out the amount from the account, and Steve just seeing the 600,000 leave the account, so he's like, oh, boom, that's the IRS payment, cool. And but the accountant had all the checks in his office or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, fast forward, the accountant dies. His assistant calls him like, "Hey, I found all these checks. It looked like they never sent them to the IRS." Steve Harvey finds out he owes the IRS millions of dollars in back taxes. So
Mm.
he says his lawyers and like his like people were on a call and he wasn't supposed to be on it, but his assistant sent him the call because she didn't know, and he was like he joined the call, and they're talking and they're like, "Yo, we can set up a deal with the IRS that he has to pay back X amount of dollars every month, but if he missed any payment, he's going to jail. And these payments are so high, it's impossible we can keep this dude out of jail. So they were just trying to figure out how they can get it to where Steve Harvey does the least amount of jail time as possible. Because they just figured it was going to be so grueling that he would end up missing a payment and then going to jail for tax evasion or whatever. And he was like, that scared the shit out of him. And he was like, from that moment forward, he just started working like crazy. You want me to be in this movie? You want me to do this show? You want me to do this club? Whatever. And he was just everywhere, everything everywhere all at once, like the movie, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
because he was trying to get the tax shit paid off or whatever. And so I said that to basically say that could be why he's like the way you saw EJ, where he's like, he's just used to it at this point because it was like, this shit's for my life.
You
And
grinding,
now that
dog.
it's over, I can't go back. You know what I'm saying?
I saw that. I did see that interview, and I think he was basically, he said, like, I'm not going to jail. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
everything I can to pay the most of it right up front.
Hmm.
If that means I'm broke, then I'll do it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it makes sense, man. Listen, um, that's the difference between success, man. The difference between success and just being marginal. Marginal people, and also how you define success. Some people define success by just being able to provide and have a good week, good day with their families, and a vacation once a year or twice a year, and they're good and they're not struggling or wanting for anything. You know what I mean? And if that's the case and you can do that, that's fine, as long as you get the time with your family. Other
Yeah.
people define success as not having to go make money for somebody else or for a corporation or whatever that looks like. And that's a different look. That's a whole different type of grind. So um whatever you define success as, do your best, but also make sure you're getting you're taking care of yourself, your personal health, your personal mental health, physical health, both of them. All of it is important. Because yeah, to your point, VP, you just never know, man. You start to feel a certain way. Today you got a little cramp in your leg or some shit, and you're like, oh shit, what the fuck is that? You wake up tomorrow and it's not there. 2 weeks later it was a blood clot, and you're in the hospital or whatever.
Hmm.
So um you know get the shit checked out, man. Fuck with
Yeah,
me,
man.
man. My ears start hurting, I'm calling it. Yo, my earlobe, my earlobe. Like, can you help me out, like, immediately? Keep my doctor on speed dial.
Right, because what people have to realize, like your body is basically a machine. You know what I mean? I saw a documentary about the human body, and they literally called it the human machine. And just like with a car, right? You drive in the car,
The documentaries.
the
Yeah, here you go, doc, man.
but like you drive in a car, right? And your light comes on saying you got low tire pressure. You ignore it. And then, next thing you know, you have this problem. You take your car in, and then like your whole differential is blown out or some shit. And you ask the mechanic, like, how did it happen? And he was like, well, usually it starts. So you might see like low pressure, and then like that turns into this, and then that throws off the axle, and then that throws off this. You know what I mean? It's like it's all these systems built on systems. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And so, like to your point, okay, the earlobe hurts, and then next thing you know, like that leads to something wrong with your eardrum, and then there's something wrong with this other thing, and then next thing you know, you're deaf. You know?
A large part of this stuff is attributed to our culture and our society. Just going, 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 work, work, work. It's like Steve. I'll be talking about Steve and how he is. Being a corporate man. But it's like, in corporate America, it's like people make you feel bad for taking off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, oh, I've seen places, especially my last job, it was like, oh, they're using that FMLA. Like, all right, nigga, they got somebody to take care of. Like, why you know what I mean? So in other countries, you don't see that. They
yeah,
have the days off, they have the shorter work weeks, the shorter work days, and in America, we just grind, grind, grind.
hmm,
Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but really, you're not gonna be rich, bro. Like,
yeah. I don't know if y'all remember this. This was shit. Maybe it was 10 years ago. It was a Super Bowl commercial. I think it was Cadillac. I want to say, and they had like one of those actors. I can't remember his name. And the whole like theme of the commercial was like in America, we work hard, we grind because we're trying to have success, and we're trying to do this, and we're not taking 6 weeks of vacation a year. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And so that the whole thing was you're doing all this grind, all this work, so you can have a nice car like a Cadillac, right? And you had people like over in Europe, and like people who were like more progressive here in the United States was like, that was one of the most fucking disgusting commercials I've ever seen. Like you're basically saying like, yo, fuck you, like fuck yourself. You know what I mean? You got to work to get this Cadillac. You know what I mean? Whereas in these other countries that value this kind of shit are like, you got to have 6 weeks off paid vacation. If you were a new mom, you get to have a certain amount of time off to do like baby bonding and shit like that. They even
Hmm.
give it to the fathers, and paternity
shit.
leave. And
Closing,
over
closing
here,
the
that shit is seen as a joke.
closing the workday down because the fucking World Cup is on. Like, you
Right.
know what I mean? Shit
Hmm.
like that. Like, just enjoying life. Like, we it's crazy, man. And
Yeah.
over there, you see the Mercedes. I try to tell people, like, you grinding, you got this Mercedes in Baltimore where the streets and potholes are the size of manholes, and it
Hmm.
snows, what I'm saying, it's bad weather. And in Europe, they use Mercedes Benz for taxis. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the standard there because it's made there and it's cheaper, but here we gotta have it, right? We gotta have it. Like, remember when Mark was like his part for his car was like 20 G's or something? It's
Hmm.
like, we gotta have it. We grinding, we living. And it's like, for what? We can't take it with us, dog. The Egyptians tried that. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now all this stuff is in museums. Like, it doesn't
I think
work.
it's cultural differences. Like, at the end of the day, to keep this country going, right? Um, I think there's certain requirements that people feel that need to be there, which is we have to have things open 24 hours, right? And to do that, you have to spread out your workforce. And it's just I don't think it's the right way, right? But I also don't judge someone who feels like I got to get to it. Like I got to get to it, and if it means that I don't see my friends and family for a month or two, then I'm not going to see my friends and family for a month or two. But once I'm done, hopefully, right at the end of this month or two, I'm gonna have more time, and I'm gonna have whatever that goal is, to get to it. And I think the difference there too is in those countries when it's work time, right? They go to work and they know they got to work that 8 hours or that 6 hours or whatever, and they're gonna get their siesta and all that good stuff. So when it's time to work, they're gonna work because they get that free time. Here, you don't get as much free time, so you use some of that work time as free time. How much time do you guys spend looking at your phone when you're supposed to be working? Me included. How much time do people be like, yo, you know what? It's not break or lunchtime, but you know what? Let me take a little spin through Instagram and see what's out here. Oh, and then you get caught in that whirlwind, right? So I think that's part of the difference here, is if we were really to get to it from minute one to break, from after break to lunch, from lunch to time to go home, it would give opportunities and room for companies to be like, yo, we need to be a little more lenient. But of course, at the end of the day, it's America. You know what I'm saying? And the minute you
Yeah,
start giving people more rights, we know that's the last thing they want to do. The minute they give people more rights, then that top 400, can't be the powerful people. And
Well, so I hear what you're saying, Steve, but I vehemently disagree with it because I think in America we're just different. We don't, like EJ said, as a society we don't value things like family. You know what I mean? So it's profit, money over everything. And I mean, you just look at something like Black Friday, right? You got Thanksgiving, which is basically a quintessential American holiday. You know what I mean? And we don't even recognize that anymore because now, Black Friday starts on Wednesday. You know, and
mm-hmm.
and people are like, fuck spending time with my family, watching the game, playing spades, whatever it is that you do in your Thanksgiving tradition. People are like, just make me a plate because I got to go get in line to save $50 on this TV or laptop or whatever the thing is that you want that particular Black Friday or whatever. And so the same way, like I remember we had forgot something at the for Thanksgiving, like an ingredient that we needed to cook with or something, and we went to Publix and they were closed and they had a sign on the door that said, our employees need to spend the holidays with their family too. And I was like, yo, it sucks I can't get my thing, but shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? But down the
Mm-hmm.
street when Dixie was open, so
Yeah. Well, that's
you
why
know
when Dixie's out of business,
so
most of them.
I feel like if you treat your employees better, right, they're gonna work for you. They'll work harder for you. But we've created a society where it's like we pay our people the least amount of money as possible and expect them to be as productive as possible. And then at the same time, while we're paying them the least, expecting the most, we're continuously trying to replace them with machines to say, fuck it, let's get this computer to do this job or whatever. So that way we get rid of that person because the computer don't need a break. It don't got to go to the bathroom. It don't need FMLA. It don't got a family member that's gonna go to the hospital or whatever. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
it kind of makes people feel like like what the fuck am I grinding out here for? They don't give a shit about me. Why should I give a shit about them?
Yeah, yeah, and I think we could go down a rabbit hole because I think there's some good points there and there's some stuff that I disagree with, but I've also seen it from both sides of it. I've seen people take advantage of that FMLA. I've seen where there have been people that are like, "Oh, I'm taking FMLA because I got a sick parent," and that sick parent doesn't even exist. Like I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get both sides of it, and then but I think the biggest key here is the cultural is what I'm getting at. In America, our culture says one thing. Our culture says you need to have this, and EJ says the same thing. We have to have the Benz. We have to have the nice things. So we have to have the money, the underlying dollar, right? So that dollar amount. So can I make $25 an hour? And if I'm not making that $25 an hour, then they don't they don't value me, um or maybe I feel like I should be valued at $30 an hour, right? But I ain't got shit to go for it. I got no experience. The only thing I know is, I'm watching these great videos on YouTube on how to be rich, and I should be uh, you know provided with the funds to be an accountant. I should be, and that's just it. That's not the way of life. It's not the way it goes. I think companies are getting better. Like if you on Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff, you're seeing a lot more corporations closed. Shit, Walgreens was closed this past holiday season, which I was like, they ain't never close. CVS, historically, I've always been the one when I lived up north. I had a tradition. Me and one of my good friends on Christmas Eve would go to CVS and get Christmas cards for everybody. We wouldn't pay for them, but we would get them. But Christmas Eve stuff is closing earlier. And New Year's Eve stuff is closing earlier. So I think people will start to see that change with the Gen Z's and stuff like that. These elders aging out that are running these corporations that are 70, 80 years old, that come from the you gotta grind, and your fingers gotta be bleeding at the end of the day, or you haven't
Mhm.
put in a hard day's work. Once they age out and you start to see a new breed start to move into these to these CEOs and stuff like that, then I think you will start to see some change in culture in some of the companies here. So you can only hope for it. You can only hope for it. But I think overall the key is take care of yourselves. VP, I've been watching and so with that, right? That's part of succession planning. So last week there was a big hoorah about succession, VP. Do you care to speak about it as part of
Oh
your bingeable segment?
man, yeah, Succession, yo. Probably the best episode of the entire series. 4 seasons, or we're in season 4, episode 3. So we still got another, 7, 8 episodes to go.
I heard somebody
But
put it up there with the Red Wedding.
yeah, it was one of those like quintessential, like, this is gonna be the episode that the show. If you're a fan of the show, this is gonna be the one it's remembered for.
Like
Like
when
it was
Opie got killed.
it was that good. It was like I already saw people who are saying they're ranking it like in those, like, how people say, oh, Red Wedding, or
Big
like in
Pussy
Breaking
getting
Bad.
killed.
There's an episode in Breaking Bad called Ozymandias or whatever. Like that's like the one, that's the episode of Breaking Bad.
No one
Um,
cares.
but
All the
yeah,
good shows out there, you go to that.
yeah, so it's a good show. It's one of the great
That
shows.
shit was trash. I
But
can't. I could never get into it.
we
Go
don't have
ahead.
to
Go
go.
ahead.
But
Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
Succession, man. It was great, man. So spoiler alert, just in case. But
Fast forward 5 minutes if you're listening.
right.
Well, it's VP talking, so 10 minutes.
But yeah, Logan died. The Brian Cox character, Logan Roy, they die. I mean, the show was about succession, so eventually we knew he was gonna die. But
Is that the
you know,
father?
yeah, the father. So
Mhm.
a lot of people thought, oh, they're gonna kill him off in the season finale, and then we're gonna get, like, how those shows do, where you get that last 10 minutes of kind of putting everybody in their place to show like how they ended up. And they
Mhm.
were like, no, we're gonna kill him off in episode 3 of the series finale, and then spend the rest of the series showing you how it plays out. And I'm like, yo, that's phenomenal, because if you think about the conversation that we had when Insecure ended, it's like, okay, they end the show, and then they do this quick,
Now
warp
what?
speed
Yeah,
to
I
the
hated
now
that.
what. You know what I mean? And so, and a lot of shows end that way, whereas this one's like, no, we're gonna kill off our main guy early in the season, and then we're going to spend the remainder of our time going over the now what or whatever, I know I'm going to love. So yeah, that happened, man. Shout out to Brian Cox, man. He destroyed that role, man. He really killed it.
The pain I think that's gonna come from this though, from this approach, I think everyone's gonna love it. I think at the end of episode 7, people are going to want more, because now you're going to start to see how things played out and what the new scope of it, the new outlay of it is, and you're going to be like, damn, what could be.
Yeah.
Unless they find some, like, it's going to be tough to make somebody at the end of that last episode be like, I'm satisfied. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think the bulk of people are gonna want more, and I think that's realistically, when you have a show end and it ends well, that's what you want. I
Hmm.
think the shows that did end well, The Sopranos, you're like, nah, this can't be done. Like, people today, what are we, almost 15 years later, still talking about, yo, you think they're gonna make another? You know what
It,
I
it,
mean? Like,
it didn't it
And
didn't help when they gave us that garbage, the Many Saints of Newark.
oh yeah, that shit was trash. And also, like, this, we talk about this all the time when we talk about shows, like how shows kind of go past their expiration date,
Hmm.
and Jesse Armstrong, who's the guy, the creator of Succession. He said when he came in, his idea was to tell this story over 4 seasons, and that's what he did. So he kept it tight. You didn't have to get into these crazy storylines as like these B and C storylines as filler to give side characters more to do to make the series longer, right? To basically eat up time. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, you get a tight story where you get to focus on the main people, and you get to fall in love with these characters. You got the ones you hate, you got the ones you love, whatever. And it's like, yo, the story is so awesome because everything is just nice and tight. It's all neat. And Karen Calkin, Macaulay Calkin's brother, he's one of the main characters in the show. He was saying when they were doing their rap party when they finished the season, Jesse Armstrong was talking. And he was like, "Man, I'm so sad to go. I wish we could have done more." And he was like, he yelled out, "You could have did more seasons, you asshole!" like fucking with him or what, you know what I mean? But it's just it's why I think this show is so loved, is that you have great acting, you got great storytelling, but you're also just keeping the shit nice and tight where it don't got to get messy for time.
I gotta try to get back into it. I started it off when y'all started it off, but I tailed off on it. So I might have to chop it up and binge it. But I've been watching Yellow Jackets on Showtime. Jury's kind of still out for me. I mean, I'm invested in it now, but season 2 has started, so I'll let you know. But it's kind of wild. It has its wild moments, but I'm invested now, so I can't stop it. I
Yeah,
want to see on Netflix. Everybody's been talking about the comedy joint Beef. I'm
I
hearing a
keep
lot of
Oh,
seeing
good
it.
stuff about
I've
that.
been watching that. That's on my bingeable list to talk about.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
keep seeing it in the top 10, so I definitely got it on my list, but I haven't watched it yet.
Mm-hmm.
VP, did you see this?
Yeah, the LA Times
The,
wrote up a obituary for him.
the LA Times actually put an obituary for this guy, but it's pretty dope. They put, it's for a fictional character,
Yeah, it was
but
just, it was good, man. And the thing for me, like, the episode was like very emotional, and I actually found myself getting emotional because it actually made me think about like when my mom died, because like the way they did it was Logan was like traveling somewhere to go try to close a deal that he was trying to get done, and he's on the plane. He has a heart attack. They don't say what happens, but they think, but we, based on what we see in the show, it looks like he probably had a heart attack, right?
yeah.
And so um um the character Tom is trying to call the kids, and Tom is married to Logan's daughter. They're actually getting divorced or whatever, but Tom is kind of siding with Logan or whatever. So that's why he's with Logan. And he's trying to call his wife to like, yo, something's going on with your dad. But because they're not talking, she don't answer the phone. She keeps sending a voicemail.
What's the daughter's name again?
Shiv. Her name is Siobhan, but they call her Shiv.
She came back thick this season, didn't she?
Ooh, yeah. She been looking, last 2 seasons, she been looking right.
I don't
So,
even watch this show, and I'm like, let me see something real quick.
yeah, the actress name is Sarah Snook. So
All right,
but
Sarah.
yeah, so he calls the brothers and he's like, "Yo, something's going on with your dad," and he's basically like, "Yo, I'm gonna put the phone to his ear. You may want to talk to him. This is it." And the characters are like on the phone trying to get information from the plane, and like there's not a lot of information that they're able to give. Things seem chaotic and stuff like that. And that's kind of like, with me, like when my mom passed, I always tell you guys my mom passed on 9/11, the day she wasn't actually there. But once word got to me, I'm in North Carolina and I'm trying to get information from Florida, and like nobody knows anything, nobody's telling me anything. And then anybody who does know something, when they start talking to me, they get all emotional, and so they can't talk. And so it's like there's like this information vacuum, you know what I mean? And that's the way it felt on the show. And I was like, yo, I don't, am I getting emotional from when I'm watching, or is it like putting me back in that space, in 2001,
Mhm.
and so it was really really well done, man. It was a
That's what
great
that's
show.
what art imitates life, and that's the space it's supposed to put you in. And
Right.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
I was listening to them recap it on Joe Budden's podcast, and they were basically saying similar like the big difference here. I think it was Parks. Was like it's more realistic. Like you never. It's very rare that you're around when someone in your family passes away. Like that you're all just there in a hospital, like we always see on TV shows.
Right.
Like everybody's off doing their thing. You get that call in a blink of an eye, and it changes. And now you start making phone calls to each other, like yo, and then you start having different conversations and stuff. And I heard that's how they kind of did this episode, which made it feel realistic, which is
Hmm.
probably what tugged at the heartstrings a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, but I do need to get back to it. We all started watching it when it first started, and then
Hmm.
you know how I am, man. I be getting squirrely on TV shows and find my way back to my old faithfuls and be like, I'll get back to it, and then by the time I do, it's too late. So I got to get back to Succession and
Yeah.
watch it through.
Even real quick, one more thing on that, Steve. It actually another thing that kind of again like touched me was the Karen Culkin character, right? When they got the phone to Logan's ear, and he's like talking to him, and he's like later he's sitting there and they're still on the phone, but at this point everybody thinks like Logan is dead, but they're still doing like chest compressions because you got to do it for at least 30 minutes or something. And he's like, did I tell Dad that I love him? And they was like, I think you did. He was like, I don't know. And he's like, Tom, can you put the phone back to his ear? The dude is dead at this point, but he's just trying to tell him that he loves him because he don't remember. And for me personally, I actually talked to my mom the night before she died, and she had
Uh,
just called me to check in. And anytime I think back to that conversation, I don't remember what we were talking about. I know we were on the phone maybe 10 minutes, and I always think back and say, man, did we tell each other that I love you? Like I don't remember because I don't specifically recall the conversation. And it's something that always like fucks with me. And then like seeing that on the show is like, fuck, man. So it was really well done, man.
yeah, it's important. It's important that you do that. I don't want to serious it out, but it's important that you do that, man. Because you never know. It don't even got to be death. It could be something completely different. Like with me, my pops had a stroke and then was never the same. You know what I'm saying? And I never knew whether he, you know, understood what from there on what I was saying 100%. Although he would, display happiness and frustration and anger. He couldn't um he couldn't say it, right? He couldn't verbalize it. So you just never know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's I heard they did it really really well. I look forward to catching up on it. I'll probably go ahead and just make it my next binger and do a little binge watch here in the next few. Actually, you know what I'll do? Yeah, I'm on it. I need to give y'all my
I
ways.
I've been watching like I said, Yellow Jackets, and then I'm still watching Bel Air. That continues to still
Damn,
be
I'm behind on that too,
yeah,
man.
that continues to still be a pretty good show, man. I mean, I like how they've done it. They made it raw, you know what I'm saying? It's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. And what was the other thing I was
I'm
watching?
behind on Power too.
Oh, you've been behind on that. But that I
Yeah.
mean
Well, no,
it's
I
just
mean the
getting
real Power, like the Ghost. Like I
yeah,
don't, I don't,
you've
I don't
been
care
you've been
about all that
behind on
spin off.
you've been behind on all of that. But that, I mean, that's I'm convinced that's a full fledged soap opera at this point because the shit that they doing is just ridiculous. Like it's just ridiculous. But I'm invested, so I gotta watch it. You
See
know,
it through.
yeah, gotta see it through. Bel Air, what was it? Was something else I'm missing.
Sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, yeah. But Bel Air, like I said, it's been pretty good, man. You definitely got to get back into it. It's been good. It's been a good show.
Do you think after watching Succession, VP, that Shiv or any of the other characters, what's the Raw brother? What's his name?
Oh, Roman.
Roman. Do you think once this ends, when they get new deals, whether it's shows or movies, you think they're gonna be like Tony, like you always gonna know him as Roman, or you're always gonna know her as Shiv? Like you're gonna see him be
Yeah,
like, oh shit, look at Shiv.
yeah. I think they're gonna be like that because like I mean that's how I am with the Game of Thrones characters. Like
Yep,
like they're
Jon Snow.
anything they're in. I'm like, yo, there go Jon Snow, there go Sansa.
But
Hmm.
Macy Williams is the only one that, because I always forget her name.
Arya. Yeah.
Aria, because I always
Yo,
forget it.
sidebar, I forgot the one show I wanted to talk about, Snowfall, which I know
Mm.
you're behind on that too, Steve. That shit. The last episode is coming this week, but that shit, it
it
just it has this season has been bad to me, but
I heard
it's
they
got
did good this
ridiculous.
season.
Nah, people. I think people get excited by shock value of different things, but when you
You know,
tie it
we
all
don't trust
together,
you when it comes to reviews because you you
since
hate
when?
everything. This thing
Since
hates
when?
everything.
Since when? No, that's not true.
Since when do we not trust you? Oh,
Both. Yeah. When did I hate
this
everything?
is a this is an intervention.
Nah. It to me it hasn't been good. It's just been
Like,
unreal. I mean, granted, it's obviously not real, but it's loosely based off of Freeway, Rick Ross. But I
yeah.
mean, it just didn't make it for me. It's just too many head scratching moments. Like why, But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The last episode's coming up this Wednesday, so we'll see. And the Wu Tang series ended too. That ended pretty dope. They ended
Did the
like,
series end or just the season?
yeah, the series is done. I think this was the
Okay, so now I
last
can
joint.
watch it.
Yeah, but it was they ended it pretty cool. You know what
Three
I mean?
seasons, right?
3 seasons of it, three
Okay.
seasons, and it basically took you up until their second album and into that Rage Against the Machine tour. Um,
Is that the W? No, that's the double album.
there's a double album, yeah.
Double
It's
album. Okay.
Woo Forever,
Wu Tang
Wu Tang
Forever. Yep.
Forever. But just seeing, everybody was involved with it. Everybody has producing credit, but just seeing what the RZA had to go through with them motherfuckers, yo, like that dude. He's spitting wise, he was trash, but that dude had to go through a lot to keep them motherfuckers together, yo. Like they was some difficult motherfuckers, yo. But
And then break them apart for money.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they all. I think they outlined it in the show basically how they all pretty much were just doing their own thing. I know Ghost and RZA have had, they kind of their takes on it and how off it's been as a show. But I mean, they all got producing credit in it, so it's like, how
But
off are they really?
when you bring together, a bunch of people of that stature,
Not
like
nine
from that
hood
background,
motherfuckers.
right? Exactly. Like it's gonna be some wild ass shit. So if
Yeah.
everybody got money, some money, right? Because some of them more than others. But
Hmm.
then also you got to take it and run with it. Like look at Meth. Meth took it and ran with it. He did the stuff with Redman, right? Then he
Hmm.
did the How High movie,
Yep.
and then he just kept kind of going with it. So I guess what happens is at times, right? And I think we see this in everyday, and this is at scale for them, but you can scale it down to everyday stuff, right? I guarantee you that you got people that you grew up with that are probably still doing the same old bullshit. You know what I mean? Every day, getting up, going to the store, getting a bottle on, you know what I mean, on their day offs or whatever, or still working a part-time gig, or they're still waking up like, damn, do I work today? Because they got that kind of gig, like, and they just feel like you changed, because you went and got it. And I think that's sort of from a Wu standpoint. It sounds like you had some of those guys that were expecting RZA to just continue to do it for me. Like, yo, you doing it, so you got to make me do it. You got to make us do it. And you have the ones that decided, nah, I'm gonna go get it. The Raekwons, the Ghosts, the Meth. Like these dudes went and got it, and so that's the difference. Then you got the ones like you got that were driving gypsy cabs because that you gotta get it for me. Like so. I gotta watch it. I gotta watch that. I gotta finish
Yeah,
watching that. I
it's
watched the
definitely
beginning,
dope.
but I think I just hated the dude they had playing RZA. Like
RZA, yeah.
that was a
Everybody,
bad cast to me.
everybody hates him.
Yeah,
Everybody hates his acting. But I that he's been in a lot of different joints. The Equalizer joints. He's been in a lot of different movies. But yeah, he overdoes it. I mean, he overdoes it for me.
yeah.
But
I
that's
feel like he
probably
puts
the
like
worst thing.
cotton in his mouth to try and sound like, come on, man, stop.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's probably the
Beef,
worst part
yo.
of it.
You got to watch Beef on Netflix. That is what I'm watching right now. It's a quick watch, 30-minute episodes, between 30 and 35 for the long ones. And it's dope. It's interesting. It's what I'm finding, that I'm drawn to shows, and I don't know if they're just good shows, and this is going to sound bad, and I mean it not to sound bad, um with predominantly, if not all, Asian casts. Like this show is like an all Asian cast.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm just trying to think through real quick. I haven't seen anyone. You got the one offs and stuff, the bosses and stuff that are like her boss is a white lady or whatever. But um, even like when they go to restaurants, it's almost like it's like resignating in an area where it's Asian parties, Asian restaurants, Asian atmosphere.
Hmm.
And I wonder if these shows are actually that good, or if it's just that we're kind of getting a peek into their culture from nightlife. They're And this is, again, it sounds bad and I don't mean it this way, but um we never see that their culture as like like regular, like us, like every day. Like they get up, they chill, they like music, they like TV, they go out, they have drinks, they go to brunch and shit like that. You know what I mean? As a culture, like we always feel like they're just sprinkled into our society as extras, if you will. You see Hispanics, you see white people, you see black people, and then you see some sprinkled Asian people. You know what I mean? And again, um, you know don't be mad at me. It's just the way I've felt in the past. And watching these shows, it kind of makes me see like, okay, all right, there's a whole like demo. Can I be a part of it? Can I go party with y'all? Like that's the shit that I be feeling. But anyway, it's a good show. I think that's the guy, the main character. I think it's the guy
It
from The
looks like
Walking Dead.
Glenn from Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's what it is.
I couldn't tell for sure, and I meant to IMDb it yesterday, but I'm like, yo,
Hmm.
that looks like but basically it starts off really really I don't want to give you guys too much, but it starts off, and you can in the previews you'll see it. It's a road rage thing where he's kind of spiraling out of control, and he gets road raged by someone who is, well, it's a woman who is she's like wealthy, and they vow to kind of you know make one another's lives kind of off. And so you just gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. It's like a revenge story. I'm like 4 episodes in out of 10, or 5 episodes in out of 10, so I'm halfway through it, and I like it. I mean, it's got some funny parts. It's got some interesting parts that make you think. You see like the reverse gender roles in her marriage, like where she's the breadwinner, she's out there trying to get it, and her husband is home like taking care of the kid, and he's like,
I'm
I
about the
just
Ali
want you.
Wong character.
Yeah, yeah. And Ali Wong, and her husband is there like, I just want to be here with you. I just want you to spend time with us. And like it makes you be like, damn, okay. It's good, man. They did a good job. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah, I got it on my list. I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah. I didn't think it was as good. And then when I saw it as a Netflix number one, I was like, all right, well, I guess I gotta start it. And then I saw like people posting like, yo, the ending is crazy. I was like, all right, y'all got me. Then I found out it was only 30 minutes. I was like, oh,
Oh,
this is
per
nothing.
episode. Mm.
Yeah, it's only
Hmm.
5 hours of my life.
Yeah,
It's
Only
takes a lot of
5
time in a
hours.
day.
yeah. I spend 5 hours on bullshit, sprinkled. So I've been watching that, and of course my normal stuff, the challenge and shit like that. But um, I gotta get yeah. I listen, man. I'm messy, yo. I'm messy. Um, but I gotta get back to it. And I've been watching playing tournament, and now the first day of the NBA playoffs, which took place yesterday. And VP, you were extremely quiet, and even more quiet after the Heat won, and made it into the playoffs. So I suspect, that was a humbling experience seeing them struggle in that play in that first playing game. But yeah, so yesterday we had the first group of games. Do you guys have it up? I know some of the ones that I was able to get to. I saw the Philly Brooklyn game, pieces of it.
hmm
I saw
hmm
parts of the Knicks game. Um, I forget what the 3 o'clock game was though.
It
It was
was Boston, maybe,
Boston Hawks.
and the Hawks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's a series I don't even think is worth watching. Like
Hmm.
The Hawks is out of here. They probably getting swept.
Yeah.
They probably getting swept. And then last night's game was actually really really good. But let's get started, man. So let's start at the top. The Philly Brooklyn game. I don't think we really see Brooklyn winning that, but
They getting swept.
yeah, but I thought they did okay, and I feel like Brooklyn is looking okay considering the cast that they have after all the trades they made. They went from kind of having this super team, if you will, with multiple superstars, and then they're still stuck with a Ben Simmons trashy contract. And then they brought in some guys like Mikal Bridges, who's getting it done, Cam Johnson, some young guys that I think they parlayed some of those big names into some pretty good young talent. And while they're not gonna beat Philly in the series, it's good to see that they one, they made it, and two, that they're going to be contending.
Yeah, it was. I was watching the game, like you said. They got some young guys. They had some moments where they were fighting. Trying to give Philly a little run, but Embiid is different, man. I mean,
Hmm.
he was out there hustling. He was doing his thing. He's different, man. I'll tell you this though, Philly's gonna have to figure out what they're gonna do with James Harden going forward because he just looks like he's lost a step. Like he just looks like he's done. Like once the refs have been taken out of the game for him, where he's just getting people to commit fouls by jumping into them and all of that, like the refs were letting that go big time
He's a passer
yesterday.
now. He's a
Yeah,
passer now.
so I don't know. They're gonna have to figure him out long term. I think they got something with Maxi as well, but
Oof, that boy is fire. I
Yeah.
tried to
yeah,
tell
That's
y'all.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, even though Harden definitely has lost a step, now all that time, shots, and things like that, you can get that to Maxi, and Harden will just have to either accept a diminished role, or to like Steve's point, he just becomes a facilitator, or you try to trade him. Maybe trade
yeah,
him for a piece, trade him for picks or something like that, and you let it be MB and Maxi running the show.
yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
pretty
You got to
much.
move hard into it because he lost a step and he's not scoring like crazy. Now he is passing. I mean, I think he was the assist leader this
He was
season.
he was dropping dimes. He's
So
definitely dropping dimes.
yeah, I think he won an assist title this year, which is not, that's no slouch. But I think you got to get him to like a ready-made team with a couple of other stars, someone that's willing to take him on as a veteran like that. I don't think anyone's going to take him for a team that's rebuilding. So.
Hmm.
Um, that's probably their best bet is kind of getting him off to pause to like shit Miami wouldn't be
LA,
horrible. LA
Miami.
Or
wouldn't.
Harden.
I don't like LA for him, but I could see it happening. I just don't like it. I don't think he fits in there. um I think he
I don't
ruins it.
think Harden would work in Miami either. And the reason why I say that is that, he's lost a step to begin with, right?
Mhm.
You're dealing with the Bam situation where he disappears at games, and you're going to have Harden disappearing. And you can't have two of your starters that disappeared, not to mention Jimmy, who, he disappears. It's like, that's too
He
much.
He's a
he
Too
on
much
de-
disappearing.
he
Jimmy.
definitely
Jimmy's a
disappears.
Jimmy's an on off button.
He
Jimmy
Hmm.
definitely disappears.
he puts it all out there and then he tires himself out. But
Yeah.
it's all right, man. We'll see. Philly's gonna win that. I don't want to spend too much time on Harden, so we don't get sidetracked there. Um, the 3 o'clock
Atlanta,
game was Boston.
yeah.
That's a wash. They don't look too good at all. Dejounte Murray looks so much better, I think, in San Antonio than he does in Atlanta. And I'm trying to figure out if it's because they're trying to figure out if it's going to be him or Trey that are going to be the primary ball handler
I think
there.
Trey is going to be out of there soon. So, Murray will probably be the guy going forward. But I think Trey Young, just in everything that we've been hearing, all of the rumblings, the trade rumors, him just seeming like he's not happy. Because bringing in Murray there kind of didn't make sense for them at the time. You got a
That was a
premier, you got
stupid. Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
like
you,
it.
you got a premier ball handler in Trey Young. They kind of do the same things. It didn't make sense. Like, go get him another piece that would have tied that team together. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and then Boston just is Boston. Now they did let Atlanta fight back a little bit, but um, those boys are just they're just a well tuned Jason Tatum and
Jalen Brown.
Jalen
Jalen
Brown.
Brown. They just work together. They go well together. They're like mayonnaise and ketchup. Like they make an amazing they make an amazing mayo ketchup
Could have said peanut
mix.
butter and jelly, but okay.
Nah. Mayo ketchup. It got to be a little different. It can't be the
Uh,
same. Peanut butter jelly is more like Wade and Braun, Jordan and Pippen. That's peanut butter jelly. You need mayo ketchup. Not everyone loves it, but a lot of people like it. And I think that's what they are.
I mean,
Um,
I like the analogy, but
you don't like
Oh,
mayonnaise
mayo,
ketchup?
mayo ketchup is
no,
just fire.
You
You
don't do that
tripping?
with your French fries, Mari?
It's
I
the
bet
it's
you
the
have never
Whopper
even
sauce,
tried it.
basically.
I have
All right.
tried it. I tried it
Yeah.
at B Dubs with you, and I was like, nah.
Oh,
It was
you didn't have the right ratios of
ratio. You
mayonnaise
gotta
to
have the right
ketchup. That's what
ratio.
it is.
Well,
Knowing you was
you the one who
probably
mixed it together.
heavy on the pour with the ketchup.
Oh, he going
Yeah.
he gonna ignore that part that it was him.
Nah,
Right.
come on. What I look like mixing his dip? Pause. Fuck out of here.
No,
Hey,
it was
yo,
your own shit.
S-
And I'm like, I remember we were sitting there and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? He was like, you
Disrespect.
don't do that. But you like mixed up mayo, ketchup, you put like some salt in it and shit like that. And I grabbed it. I got
He's so disrespectful, yo. Don't be disrespecting my chemist skills. I'm like Breaking Bad out this bitch.
yeah,
Uh,
I wasn't feeling it.
that's
Now, if you said like if
some
you said
Haitian
they're like
taste buds.
eggs and ketchup, then I'm like, okay, got you.
Ugh, that's
See,
nasty.
that's what I'm
That's
talking about.
that's some Negro country shit right there. That's some
You never had
Negro country
egg. You
shit.
never had ketchup on your eggs.
That's just
Oh, I
nasty,
did.
bro.
I used to do only on scrambled though. Like
Yeah,
no other
scrambled eggs.
eggs. Yeah, no other eggs can ever get ketchup. There's no need
Nasty,
for it.
I put it on an
nasty.
omelet too, but like scrambled
Oh,
omelet.
you're right. You could do that. I don't normally, but you could. I guess if you got like, your potatoes, you're mixing it in there, your hash browns, whatever. All right.
Y'all are
The
nasty.
Knicks,
Y'all are
the
nasty
Knicks,
men.
Knicks in Cleveland. That series looks like it's going to be a really good series.
Hmm.
Donovan Mitchell looked really good. I like him and Garland together. I think that's what Atlanta was going for, but for some reason, those two guys work well together as point guard, as two point guards. Um, and I like that team, and of course they got two bigs too, and Mobley and damn, escaping me,
I
but
can't I can't think of his name either.
yeah, I'll get it. But and then on the other side of the ball, what'd you see in your team, EJ? What'd you see in your Knicks that you think got it done yesterday?
Jalen Brunson, man, probably our best free agent signing since Sprewell Houston days. This dude, he's worth every penny, man. I mean, he doesn't look athletic, but like I said last pod, he was Illinois Mr. Illinois in the state of Illinois for basketball. So I mean, the kid can play, man. He gets it done. He knows when to turn it on, turn it off. He has that one move, but he attacks the basket, gets everyone involved. He's him. And Julius Randle coming back off of that ankle injury. Tom Thibodeau's getting the bench involved more. So, our bench outscored them, I think, by like 37 points, or something. I think our bench scored 37 points. And, Hart coming off, that was a good trade between Portland and us. So, that was a pretty solid team win, man. I mean, we got to kind of outlast Donovan Mitchell right now because that dude is he just scores, man.
Yeah.
He's going to get 40. You know what I mean? It's just, we got to stop everyone else. So that was a
Right.
big team win last night, man. I was very happy about that.
Definitely, man. I mean, to your point, man, it was a great trade, and that's why you go out and get a guy like that. Like everybody thinks, like, oh, just build through the draft, blah, blah, blah. Like sometimes you got to just go get it. Like you can't, you don't. I'm not saying you can't grow it at home, but it's like to draft a guy, to get him ready, to bring him up, and everybody's not going to turn into a star. So sometimes you got to just go get a guy and let him bring what he's already developed somewhere else into your organization, and you can make magic happen, man. That
Yeah.
that that yeah.
Yeah, it was a hell of a. I mean, I was down on the guy, man. I wanted Murray that went to Atlanta. I was down on this guy, Jalen Brunson, man. And then I was like, yo, it's a homer pick. His father's on the staff.
Hmm.
His the Knicks deal with CAA. He's a CAA guy as far as agents and all of that. I was like, man, this is a homer pick. It's gonna be bad. No, this guy is worth every bit of the
Yeah.
money, every bit of it. So
And that's the thing, though, right? Like with us as fans, we always want something, right? We think our team should do X, and then and when they do Y, we're like, yo, what the fuck are they thinking? Blah blah blah. I was like that, not to get off basketball, but I was like that with the Dolphins when we drafted Jalen Waddle. I wanted Devontae Smith,
I hate this.
and I'm like, what the fuck,
you wouldn't have been wrong either way though.
right? But now I'm like, I can't imagine a team without Waddle. And
Who'd you
so it's
want?
the same. Devontae Smith, the one the
Oh
Eagles took.
yes, yes, yes. Okay.
So, and we took. I'm like, yeah, I wanted the Alabama receiver, but not that one. But sometimes these guys are in those positions because they know a little bit more than us as fans.
Yeah, but I think the thing for me with Jalen Brunson was just the eye test, right? Like last season, he was having a very quietly productive season, and then he takes the Mavs, all the way he took them, and then you didn't really see his flash of greatness until they were in the playoffs, and then it's like, okay, maybe we didn't pay attention to this guy because Luca was getting so much
That's
shine,
exactly what it was.
but
The average
now,
average fan wasn't paying attention to him. The
yeah.
people that were paying attention were like people like me, not because I'm a great fan, but because I play daily fantasy and
Mhm,
because he was so cheap. Because people were like, he's not the one option in Dallas. So
Mhm.
on FanDuel and DraftKings, he was so cheap, but he was doing mega fucking numbers. So
mhm.
that's how I realized I'm like, yo, this dude is nice. So when they signed him, I thought it was still too much money. Remember, EJ, when you were like, nah, I don't like, I'm like, nah, he's gonna be good for you guys. I just think the contract is
Nah,
big.
you definitely said it, and
Yeah.
he's worth every penny. I mean, that dude, we can't win. We can't win without him. We literally cannot
Mhm.
win without him, man. And I'm glad that we never dealt Emmanuel quickly. We've got some really young gunners, man. And Obi Toppin, Steve. I remember you were high on him, and I had high hopes for him too. But he's rounded out his game. He's shooting. He's doing it all. Like he's trying to really
He's
prove
got a good
where
hairline
he
too,
belongs.
Balls.
Yeah, his shape up is nice. But he's really proven that he belongs, man. When Randall was out and Julius Randall, man, that's the other thing about Jalen Brunson. You really have a floor general to where this dude isn't doing the most. He isn't trying to dribble out of double teams, getting stripped. You know what I mean? He's coming in. This dude came off that ankle injury, had 19 yesterday. He was doing his thing, man. It was pretty good to see, man. And they look like they expect to win because they went down and they came back, no problem.
The Knicks just have a really good team chemistry right now. Like
Mhm.
I'm seeing guys like Hartenstein, and that guy is balling because he's constantly moving. He's constantly shuffling his feet. He's constantly getting himself in position to make a play or a rebound or something like that. Like he's not the greatest guy on the court. He's not the greatest guy on the team. Not even close, right? He's probably not even the best guy in the second unit, but but he's playing like he wants to be, and I think that's super important. The challenge that I see with the Knicks, of course, is that at some point they're gonna run into to some monsters. And I think that monster is in the form of a Giannis or a Tatum.
I'm
And
not.
when you
I'm
have
not
to
so much
match
worried about
wits,
Boston though. I'm not so much worried about Boston. Giannis, he's been whooping our ass all year. Like the Knicks since last season, we cannot beat Milwaukee for shit. We cannot. Like I don't know what it is. Giannis just we playing the Knicks. Oh, 50.
yeah.
He just nasty
And he
against
played
us.
till the end. He don't. That's what I said it last week. I don't want to do it again, but I'm gonna. This guy plays until the buzzer. If they up by 50, he's sitting in the game. Like maybe it'll be different in the playoffs, but I fucks with Giannis, man. I think he's my
Yeah.
favorite player in the league right now.
And the winner of the Cavs Knicks series, it gets the winner, or they get the Bucks because the Heat aren't going to beat the Bucks. So,
Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be a tough season or a tough series for y'all. I just
yeah,
Man. Um but yeah, the Knicks looked good yesterday. Brunson looked good. I didn't think your boy was gonna be good coming Randall was gonna be all right coming off of the ankle. Saw some maturity in him when he got
hmm
tangled up yesterday
hmm
and he didn't engage. You love to see that a little bit. And I think this is a good start to a story for the Knicks. I don't know how well it's going to take, like everything hitting perfect. It's going to have to be one of those Cinderella stories for them to win the chip, or even the East. But I think this is a good start to a good story that could go on for some time if those guys stay together with that young talent for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and then I watched some of the Golden State game last night. I'm old, so I fell asleep. I was watching the Golden State and
yo, did you
Sac
What
did you
Sac
see
the
Town.
the
Kings?
did you see the video of the pregame of Steph like
Yes.
shooting
Oh,
shots from? I mean, I think it was like 5, 6 consecutive shots
from the
from like
logo.
the half court or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Nothing but net. I'm like, this
Yeah.
shit is. I think I shared it in the group chat, and I just wrote like, "This is not normal." Like, or no, the person who shared it on Twitter said it's not normal, so I just posted that. Like that shit
But
is insane, man.
shout out to the Kings though, man. Mike Brown got these dudes clicking. I mean, it was a high scoring game. I didn't think he was gonna score. I didn't think they was gonna score over 240 points or something like that. But
Yeah,
that was a damn good game, man. Mike Brown got them guys clicking. 3-point win. It's gonna be a series.
yeah,
It's gonna be a series.
You got Sabonis, who looks good. Sabonis looks good, and that's the weakness of Golden State. Like they're thinking Looney is going to be the guy that's going to get the boards for them, and Draymond, is going to figure it out somehow. But Sabonis is just too big, pause. And I think that team, it's going to be a tough one for Golden State. It's going to take for Poole to be the ball handler, Steph and Clay to get hot for them to be able to beat Sacramento easily in seven. I do think that game goes at least, or that series goes six. But I got Sacramento winning that series.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a back-to-back dogfight. So I mean, they definitely Sacramento. If you're Sacramento, you definitely want to get these first two at home and maybe try to steal one on the road. But it's gonna be a dogfight for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. What we got going on today? Who's playing today?
Lakers versus Grizzlies at 3 at in Memphis. Heat at the Bucks at 5:30, and Clippers at the Suns at 8, and then the Timberwolves in Denver at
At 10.
10:30. Yep. Yep.
Um, I guess the one for me to watch is going to be that Memphis Lakers series. I think that's a big one to watch in the West because we could potentially see a first round uh exit
Exit for LeBron.
for LeBron, but we could also see what people would call an upset. But I don't think that's an upset. You got LeBron and AD, and if those guys are healthy, they should be able to beat just about any team in the West, if not any
Yeah,
team in the West.
facts.
So
I think the old vet guard, playoff LeBron gets activated. John Morant's gonna do what he can, but He ain't gonna be able to do nothing with them guys, man. Not if
Who's
they
gonna
clicking.
Who's gonna D up Morant?
If I'm thinking, shit, LeBron got to get on him.
Reeves? Nah, Brown ain't getting on him. He's too slow.
Nah, LeBron can. You can't. He can't stay on them long term. But like if you let
In
him,
big situations like the last play, the game, down the stretch, 2 minutes. Yeah, but I mean like for the bulk of the game, because I think that's the key. If you can contain him,
They're
you're in a
done.
good spot.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
done.
you.
Well, then again,
Well, Desmond
like,
Bain be getting it.
but
That's
then
what I think
again,
Bron's gonna be on. I think Bron will be on Desmond Bain.
but then again, like we noticed last time when he was out 20 games, Memphis seems to play better without him.
You're right. You're
they,
right.
they seem to play better without him. So,
Because they got
but
Tyus Jones, I think is his name. Their backup. That kid is a monster, yo. Oh, he's
yeah,
nice.
the real series for me here today is that Clippers Suns. I want to see KD,
Good
Dev
call.
Booker, Chris Paul, and Kawhi and Paul George status. I don't think he's back just yet,
And
but
Russ.
Russ, you know what
Russ
I'm saying?
KD going against one another.
Yep,
hmm
Kawhi. This will be like I said in the chat. This will be the first time that KD and Kawhi are clashing since that Toronto series when KD got hurt. So
Mm.
yeah, it's gonna be
KD,
something.
listen, man, KD got a haircut. And if we know anything, we know when we be potting and VP come up on here clean, he be giving it to us. Pause. So like, confidence be on a milli, and I
That
think
team is
that's
scary though.
KD.
But
Oh
when you
yeah.
think about it, that team is, I mean, just KD and Book alone can give you a 30-point game
hmm
off top.
hmm
You know what I mean? And they
Dude,
got a pretty good team.
with those guys and fuck, forgot the center's name for a second there.
Ayton.
Uh Aiton. CP3 should have 16 assists a game.
Yeah,
Easily. Easily with those guys. It makes no sense. Like, how do you defend that?
yeah,
It's gonna actually the Clippers might be the best matchup for Phoenix in the West right now because you can put Claw on KD 1-on-1, and you
Hmm.
can put Paul George on Book 1-on-1, and you can put Russ on CP3. He's probably gonna get cooked because Russ defense ain't good at all. But you can do that. That might be the best matchup to get Phoenix out of there. If they get past the Clippers, I don't know that there's anybody left that can beat Phoenix in a 7-game series in the West.
yeah. I agree.
Um, what do you? All right, so what do you guys have going on? You guys still stick to? I think the picks across the board for us, all three of us. I think we had non-homer picks being
Milwaukee and Phoenix.
Milwaukee and Phoenix coming out.
hmm Yeah,
You
I
guys
agree.
still feel that way?
Hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, I would love, not speaking ahead, but should the Knicks win and see Milwaukee, I would love the orange and blue to get past them. But I mean, I mean, they've been dogging us all year.
this
So
is the
I
problem for
don't know.
y'all. Either this is the problem for the Knicks if y'all get past Cleveland is that Milwaukee's gonna fucking roast us. That's a sweep, and I don't even think it's gonna be competitive, right? And then y'all gonna have a dog fight with
In
Cleveland.
Boston.
It could
Oh,
potentially go 7.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
saying? And
Hmm.
then y'all got to go to play Milwaukee after they just kicked the shit out of us, and they're well rested. And so you might have that whole thing of rest versus momentum, kind of thing that always plays out every playoff. But that's gonna be tough, man.
This guy is the worst Miami fan in
I
the
mean, it's
world.
I mean, it's nasty for us because during the regular season, like I said, I'm not worried about Boston because we've been in dog fights with Boston. We've beaten them all year except for one game. You know what I mean? Granted, it's the regular season, right? But it's much more demoralizing when you have a team that for the last 2 to 3 seasons just kicks your ass all the time. Like we don't beat Milwaukee. We just don't beat them. Like we get close, then Portis goes off, then Giannis goes off. It's just like it's kind of crazy, man. So I don't know. We'll see. Um,
Who's your
we'll
dark
see.
horse? Who's your dark horse in this in the NBA playoffs?
It's Knicks.
Who's your dark horse VP?
Um, I can't say it.
Ah,
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
yo, it pained him. It was paining him.
Cleveland's a good pick. My dark horse is the Lakers. I
That's not even a dark horse, though. That's you shaving points. You hedging your bets.
that's
It's LeBron.
listen. It's still though. It's Phoenix. KD.
Mm,
It's Kawhi. Them big
mm,
hands, boy. That boy, man. I be watching Kawhi play. Kawhi's another one that's like Brunson that you watch him and you like, he's not that good, yo. And then you look at his stat line, he'd be like 38, 12, and 9. Like, yo, how did he do that? It did not look like it. Because he'll go on these runs. Like Kawhi does this thing where like in the third quarter, he'll drop 12 quick on 6 quick possessions back to back. Bah, 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 bah. And next thing you know, he just went from having 8 points to 20 points. And then now, you know what I mean? Like his game is so it doesn't look that good, but it's good. It's crazy. I don't know. It's you know what it is? It's San Antonio. It's that
yeah,
it's
he's
that
efficient.
yeah.
He's an efficient scorer. He, doesn't look pretty, but he gets it done. He's not
And
flashy, but he gets it done.
also for the Lakers, if they get by the Grizzlies, man, they get the winner of that Kings Warrior series, so they might have an easier chance to get to the conference finals. So
Mm.
Yeah.
the,
Team
the,
Bron,
the Clippers,
baby.
yeah,
I'm gonna
the
have to break.
Clippers
I'm
could
gonna have to
win.
break out my Bron love this week, man. Now that everybody's starting to count him out a little bit,
This
this is where I flourish as a true LeBron fan.
Oh
this
my
guy,
god!
yo,
King James, top
switching,
2.
switching off the NBA real quick. NFL talk. OBJ, officially a Raven, calling out for Lamar to come home. What are y'all feeling about that right now?
I'm still. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, I think this is gonna this looks better for Baltimore." They brought in OBJ. Now he's a real target. Lamar has to sign. I don't think so. And here's my main reason why.
He doesn't have to sign. I
No,
don't
no,
believe
but
that.
people think
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Baltimore has more leverage now, right?
yeah.
And the problem for Lamar at the end of the day, it comes down to dollars and cents, right? Lamar Allen and Josh Allen. I mean, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen were both in the same draft class, right?
Yep.
Over their career, Lamar Jackson has made $32 million, and the franchise tag they got on the table pays $32 million.
Yo,
So
stop
if he were to
pocket
sign it,
watching, yo. This
I
nigga
mean,
be pocket watching.
but this is Lamar's whole beef, right? Is the pockets. He's made $32 million over his career. Actually, not even 32 million. He's made 25 million. I'm sorry, over his whole career so far. Him and Josh Allen are in the same draft class. Josh Allen's made $85 million over his career
It's a
because he's
lot of
already been
money.
extended. So if you're Lamar, like you can't keep fucking around with Baltimore because he tried to play nice guy by not holding out after year 3 when he was eligible for an extension. He didn't do it last year, and he can't keep playing with these people because they obviously are playing with him. So he gotta hold out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That Baltimore is not gonna fold. This thing is gonna get. It's gonna get nasty. It's gonna get nasty. And
I
the
feel
draft
like
is coming up.
Baltimore called.
They may take a quarterback.
Yeah, they might. I feel like Baltimore called OBJ and they were like, "Yo, we'll give you 13 million." And he was like, "Nah, I want 19." And they were like, "We'll give you 18, but you got to get Lamar to sign. So you got to be on our side." so I think he was like, "All right, we'll give you 3 in incentives, but you have to get out there and say we need LeBron to, or not LeBron, we need Lamar to sign. Like
Yeah.
that's how you get the extra money." And
He
he's
did
like,
say
"Okay."
supposedly that he was being told that Lamar is coming, or that they'll work on getting him there. I just don't know, man.
Yeah.
If I'm
I'm
Lamar,
not
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
signing there if I'm Lamar. I'm not signing there if I'm him. The only way I'm signing there if I'm Lamar Jackson is if they found a way to land another star young not injured receiver, like major injured receiver, like which will
Hopkins.
never happen, a Cooper Cup, or I'll take a Hopkins. He's not young, but I would take him. Like you got to give me I need to be going out there and feeling like, y'all really, really are trying to win me over. And I don't think OBJ is you trying to win me over. OBJ is like me saying, yo, I'm gonna take you out for a nice dinner to make up for cheating on you, and then taking you to Red Lobster. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. The Cheddar Bay biscuits, like Red Lobster, we get it, but Red Lobster is nice, but it's not nice. It's the Darden restaurant. Take me somewhere nice, nice. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I feel like OBJ is for them.
But this is what you kind of just you kind of just walk by, Steve, on your point. Lamar Jackson's issue is not them not signing receivers, right? He's trying to
It's
get
them not
paid.
signing him.
Right. That's the problem. Like he's not complaining about. I'm pretty. I mean, he might be talking about the talent, but at the end of the day, he's like, "Yo, when am I gonna get shown the love, yo?" You know what I mean? So, but his
Show more
problem
love.
is that he approached this thing being a nice guy. Like you see, Kyler Murray was like, "Yo, I need an extension." They were like, "Oh, we're not ready yet." Okay, fuck it. Delete my social media, or I don't follow Arizona on social media no more. He stopped showing up to meetings and shit like that. Got a
Yep.
contract,
His little ass
and
was
and
mad.
all of us said, "Man, they overpaid Kyler Murray." What? Are you serious? That contract,
Mhm.
Kyler Murray,
They
Call of
paid him
Duty
all
guy,
that. Yeah, they paid him all that money to
but
play Xbox.
right,
Shit.
but you got to do that kind of shit, and Lamar approached it thinking, sometimes
Loyalty.
here you go, right? A Succession reference in the pilot episode of the series, right? Kendall and his father are talking, and he's like, "I heard you let the guy talk down to you in the acquisition meeting," and he was like, "But Dad, but I want to do business. It's not a dick measuring contest." And Logan says to him, "Son, you went to a lot of fancy schools and you read a lot of books, but sometimes in business, it is a dick measuring contest." So, and this is what Lamar got to get on. You can't keep playing this Mr. Nice Guy shit, because playing Mr. Nice Guy have you $50 million behind your draft classmate.
And we see what's going on. We talk about this guy being a jerk, but Aaron Rodgers, what I mean, he's forced himself into that contract, and now with everything that they got going on in Green Bay, he letting them know, I don't rock with y'all. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
did Buffalo play in two AFC championships or one?
No,
One.
one.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think Lamar's kind of doing that now. I think it's late. He's late to the table. Being playing dick move.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm listen, man. If they were to bring in a Hopkins on the other side, and maybe like I'm trying to think of a running back. Maybe like
Dalvin Cook.
Montgomery,
Mm.
or Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery, Dalvin Cook. I might sign the um the franchise tag, and I might play on the franchise tag because with that kind of talent, and you still have Mark Andrews, and hopefully the defense still can get it done. You can probably make it pretty deep, and then you can kind of write your own story from there.
But I
You know what
mean
I'm saying?
that's but see the pushback on that is, this dude's 26 and he's already been a league MVP. So it's kind of like in comparison
Right.
to
No, I
a
agree. But
Kyler Murray, like
if
what
he
else do he
sits
have to
out,
do?
and doesn't play this season, he's gonna lose leverage. I don't care what you guys think as fans, as teams, he's going to lose leverage. 100%. If he don't play this season, he's in trouble. He's not getting the
Well,
money
I
he
mean,
wants.
it only really plays that way for him because the teams are just digging in the sand. They just want to spite him because Atlanta or shit, plenty other teams, Tennessee, there's places that could use him. It's just
Mm-hmm.
they
No,
digging in
there's
the sand.
definitely places that can use him. I'm past that now. I'm thinking more like I'm thinking
The
today
owner,
like
you're
no,
thinking like the owner.
I'm thinking today from a Lamar standpoint. If I'm Lamar and they don't get a deal done and nobody comes knocking, but they go
Mhm.
out and they stack this team, I might play that.
They
Now,
couldn't even they couldn't even give him
if it's
they couldn't
only
even give him the
OBJ,
exclusive joint.
if it's only
Right.
OBJ, then I'm not playing it. If it's only OBJ, right? That's what I'm
I
saying.
hear you.
But if you go out and get this talent, I'm gonna go try and write this story. And worst case, if it don't work well, shit, my back hurts. and
But
do like everybody else be doing. Do like LeBron.
that's what he's gonna have to do though. I mean, they couldn't even get his dude the exclusive joint. Like the exclusive joint would have gave him 45 mil.
Mm-hmm.
Teams would have had to really come to the door knocking. You're not even paying this dude the most you could pay him. Like they just disrespectful at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and then what also may benefit him, to your point, Steve, not necessarily sitting out, but the word on the street is that Bengals are working on a Joe Burrow extension,
Mm.
and you know people are projecting something like 200 million in guarantees. So you're gonna have Lamar saying, "Yo, you know,
And the Eagles are working
right,"
on an extension
and
too.
Jalen Hurts,
And
So
at least you got apples to apples with Hurts. That's a running guy.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
a
Like you
running
could
guy who
say
doesn't pass as well as you.
that's right. That's true. That's a true statement. The only difference is would be the injury. But listen, if you're talking about running, he runs, I run. Like you know what I mean.
Right.
And I throw the ball better
And I
Hmm.
today.
got more
Today,
wins, more success. Yeah.
Super
I
Bowl.
would say the success is kind of equal.
Yeah, I'd
Super
call
Bowl
it even.
appearance versus MVP.
I'd
I
call
mean,
it even.
yeah, but you really can't say that's on Hurts by itself. I mean, at least we can say Lamar Jackson with less has been a winning quarterback. You know what I mean?
With less, yes, that's a true
Yeah,
statement. That is
true.
100% accurate. Yeah, let's see. Look, we got to watch how that plays out. When is the draft?
April
Uh,
27th.
yeah.
Okay, so we got about 11 days between now and then.
Hmm.
Um, so that'll be interesting. Um, let's see, VP, what you got?
I mean, we just signed Robbie Anderson or chosen Anderson, whatever he's going by.
Not
I like that
Trash.
move. I
nobody
like that
does
move.
Trash.
that.
Trash.
I don't care
He
about the
hasn't he
Dolphins.
hasn't been good
Let's
in
talk about
forever.
political stuff.
Listen, the guy's had 1,000 yards almost every season.
He's
Negative.
fast.
What did he do
He's
last year?
fast. You guys
What did he
got
do
Nah, nah,
more
I
last year?
think he had.
speed.
I think he had something.
He had a
Y'all
horrible
got
season
more
last year.
speed than anybody in the world. Miami be like, yo, you could run fast, come play for us. Because now you got Tyreek, Waddle, and Robbie Anderson. Who's gonna play the slot? Which one of them is going in the slot?
And Robbie Anderson don't do nothing but run go
Well,
routes.
and so you're thinking about who's going to play the slot, like from a traditional offense, but part of McDaniel's offense is that anybody could be in the slot, and that's the thing is that you can have Waddle and Anderson, at the wide spots, Tyreek in the slot. Now you got Waddle in the slot, whoever, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think listen, I don't know what you guys pay him.
I haven't seen his contract yet. It
Rob,
just happened last night.
Robbie Anderson last year
He's a
had
knucklehead, man.
519 yards. He had
But he played
one.
for Arizona, didn't he?
He played for Arizona, though.
No, he was on Carolina. He
Even
didn't go to
worse.
Arizona. He was in Carolina.
No,
I
he
thought
was
he
Just
got
supposed.
traded him.
traded.
He got
I
traded.
thought
He did 10
He
games in
traded him to
Arizona, 6
Carolina.
games in Carolina.
okay.
Carolina.
500
No,
yard season was 2021. Last year he had like 300 yards
Right.
nonetheless, he's
between the
not
two teams.
as a
Anyway,
He
third
only had
receiver.
one
As
1,000
a third
yard
receiver, he's not horrible.
right,
season.
but they're not
He's
bringing
only
him in
had
to be the
one
guy,
1,000 yard season.
right? But you realize that
He's
Tyreek
washed.
Hill and Jalen Waddle are on the team, right? EJ,
He's
they're
washed.
not. They're
EJ
not.
don't EJ
You
don't
like
like
I like
nobody
it.
that's an ex
I ain't
Jet.
like it.
As soon as they leave the Jets, he hates them.
But yeah, like they're not bringing him in to be the
That's
guy. They're bringing him in to be an option.
okay. All right.
Yeah, he's yeah, he's there for when they get hurt, if they get hurt.
Yeah,
Um,
and he's a tall guy because all of our receivers are short. Waddle's like 4 feet tall. Tyreek's only 3 feet tall. So they he's a speed guy and he has height.
yeah,
He only does one thing though.
yeah,
What's that?
he goes
Run
deep.
go
Pause.
routes. That's it.
But I
That's
mean,
all
you
you
can
need.
you can do. But
That's all you
okay,
need.
so you line him and Tyreek up on the same side, right? You got
Mhm.
Tyreek break off a route towards the middle. The safety goes for Tyreek, and then you got him 1-on-1 deep.
It could work.
You know,
It could work. It could work. It could work.
Yeah, I think Waddle's more gonna be. He'll look better in the slot because he runs better routes than all three of those or both of those guys. I really like that kid across the middle, man, Jalen Waddle.
yeah.
I like him a lot.
Now we
Only
just got to trade. We got to trade Cedric Wilson Jr. now.
the only thing is who's gonna
I mean,
throw him the ball.
he's no CD, you know. But
Who? Cedric
Who's
Wilson?
gonna throw him the ball? That's the main thing. Is Tua gonna
Tua
stay
Tagovailoa,
healthy? Is he gonna
one of the
stay
most
healthy?
accurate quarterbacks in the NFL.
Oh Jesus. Is he gonna stay healthy? Is the question.
you
Hey,
get
that's
3 good games out. You get 3
doing
good games out.
jujitsu.
Because if he gets hurt, I tell you what, Mike White ain't it neither. That
No.
motherfucker don't stay healthy neither.
But
Tom Brady
hey,
will come out of retirement at that
yeah, I
point.
mean, at the end of the day, man, he's when at the end of the day, when Tua was on the field last year, I know you probably was like, yo, this team is different.
Yeah, y'all won games. Y'all won games.
Nah, come on, dog.
What's Joe Biden doing?
He's over in Ireland right now, man. He had a trip to Ireland.
Doing nothing.
He's an Irish guy, so he went over to Great Britain, Ireland.
Mm.
Um, they they love the dude over there because he talks about his Irish roots all the time. So he had like a rock star's welcome. Gave a
Mm.
speech at some place, and that shit looked like a concert. The people were going crazy when he came out. They were playing that
Bunch of
song,
skirts.
the one you hear at every fucking like
Mm-hmm.
Celtics game or any movie
Mm-hmm.
that takes place in Boston. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
And then
yes.
like the crowd was just going nuts. Like he got a lot of love over there. He probably was like, I need to run for president over here.
I'm gonna just stay here.
So but yeah, so he's been over there all week. Um over here on our side, man, the big thing has just been the courts right now. You had a judge named Andrew Kasmarek, piece of shit judge out of Amarillo, Texas, who basically banned the abortion pill. Um, uh, then the Fifth Circuit, the Court of Appeals, basically put his order on. They stayed part of his order and then accepted another part of it. And now the Supreme Court has stepped in and they put an administrative stay, which basically means they put it on hold for like 5 days while they review what they want to do. So we should find out on Wednesday, like, what's going to be the game plan. But
But
the,
we
the
know the
abortion
game
bill,
plan.
yeah.
We know the
Well,
game plan.
this was kind of tough. I'm not sure. I think we know the game plan, but in the past, even Justice Alito, who's the guy who wrote the opinion that overturned Roe v. Wade, he has talked about judges stepping in and overruling the FDA, and he's basically has made the point: we're fucking lawyers. Why are we stepping in overruling these scientists on medication? We don't know nothing about this shit. If they
Mm.
say it's safe, it's safe. Like what the fuck? You know what I mean? And so, he's ruled in multiple cases since he's been on the Supreme Court that way. And so, a lot of people expect that even though this is for the abortion pill, the whole overturning it is not on the issue of abortion. The whole fight was over the safety. So essentially what happened is that back in 2000, the FDA approved this drug, mifepristone, or however you pronounce it,
Sure.
23 years ago in 2000. Basically what happened was the abortion pill has been in existence since like the 1980s, right? But it was in other countries, it wasn't in the US. So once it came to the US, instead of going through the entire like approval process for approving a drug, because this wasn't a new drug, it was just new to the US. What they did is they used a lot of the data that came from these other countries where the drug was already in use. Okay, it's been in use in this country for 20 years, it's been in the United Kingdom for 10 years, or whatever the number was. We have all this information already. So why go through a 10-year process of approving this thing when we already know this shit works and they approved it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the people who sued to block the medication basically said, "Oh, we don't know if it's safe because the FDA rushed the approval, even though they approved it 23 years ago. It's been on the market for 23 years and it hasn't been a problem. But now we need to get rid of the approval." And so that's what the judge did. He came in and sided with the people saying it's not safe and overturned the approval. And then
Hmm.
what he did also, which this is the part where people were like, because this guy, Kasmerek, however he says his name, the judge, he's one of these anti-abortion crusaders, right?
Hmm.
Um, that's how he started out his legal career. And so what these people did was the FDA has made rulings on this medication multiple times. In 2000 when they approved it, again in like 2015, 2016, and they did something else on it in 2019. And basically all they've done in the subsequent years, in the recent past, is they've like changed like age groups or like whether or not you need a prescription to have it and that kind of thing like that, right?
Right.
So this lawsuit, a lot of people say they don't have standing in this lawsuit, meaning they don't have a dog in the fight because for these kind of lawsuits for medication, it has a 6-year statute of limitations. If the shit got approved in 2000, 23 years is more than 6 years. So like this shit should have got thrown out just on the grounds of standing. And so that's why they sued for like all the different authorizations. And so what the appeals court did was they said, oh, they didn't have standing for the 2000 joint. So we're going to leave the 2000 one in place. But for all the other ones for 2015, 2017, 2019, whatever years, we're going to leave that in place. So the whole thing is bullshit, but we'll see what the courts say, because at the same day he released that opinion, basically getting rid of the approval from 2000, there was another lawsuit happening in the state of Washington in the federal court, where that judge basically threw that shit out nationwide and told the FDA, don't change anything. So now you have these two judges' orders competing against each other. So if the FDA continues business as usual, they're violating the Texas ruling. But if they stop the business as usual, they're violating the Washington court issue, and the Supreme Court can't allow that. So they're going to have to step in and rule one way or the other.
Supreme Court made a ruling on one of the student loan cases, or he rejected one of the cases earlier this week, not the Joe Biden
It
forgiveness
probably was the
one.
one for the students, but I
It
hadn't even
was.
seen that.
It was. They
Most people thought that they would get rid of that one to begin with, because that case was like weak as shit.
Do you think that lends any optimism to the Joe Biden student loan forgiveness
No,
case that they got out there? No.
I don't think so. It just it's
So,
it's one of those things where it's like, half a loaf kind of thing, So I don't think it helps. I think when you look at the the law that was used to cancel student loans, it's pretty clear that the Biden administration has, or any administration for that matter, has the power to do what they did. But the Supreme Court is going to basically come out and say they have this new thing that started during the Obama years. So they call it the major questions doctrine, where it's like, oh, well, Congress didn't mean to give you this much authority, even though they did. They didn't mean to, So like when they passed the Clean Air Act, the law just, obviously the law says more than this, but just simplified, it basically says the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, has the power to protect our air and water, and the EPA uses that authority to then regulate chemicals and gases that go in the air and that kind of thing like that. And so the Supreme Court has came in and like pulled back some of the EPA's power, saying, well, it's a major question on whether or not Congress meant to give you this much authority. And where the whole point of Congress making it super broad like that is because they're saying, we're politicians, I was a car salesman before I came to Congress. I don't know shit about chemicals. You know what I'm saying? This one, some guy was a doctor, somebody's a car salesman. Lauren Boebert didn't graduate high school. You know what I mean? So that's why they give the power to the experts to make these decisions. But they're saying, well, we don't know if Congress meant for you to have this much power in regulating chemicals, so we're going to pull it back. And it's the same shit with student loans. They said in an emergency, the secretary can, cancel out debt. And they're saying, well, they're canceling out $1.6 trillion worth of debt. And I don't know if Congress meant to give you that much power.
yeah. Yeah.
So
basically promises made but not kept. Is what you're saying.
I wouldn't characterize it that way, because it's not like it's him not keeping it. It's the courts. But we'll see. But I think they're going to overturn this thing, or they might try to split the baby and say something like, he can go up to 5,000, because instead of being 1.6 trillion, it would be 800 million. Like anything over $1 billion, Congress would have to authorize or something. Like they may try to split the baby or something. But I don't think that it's I don't think that it has a good chance of going through. But the other news that's been going on this week, which I think is one of the biggest stories in the country right now, is Clarence Thomas staying on the Supreme Court. ProPublica published articles this week. The first article they published shows that he's been like piling around, taking these vacations with this Texas real estate billionaire named Harlan Crow, vacationing on his yacht, trips to Indonesia and Europe and all kind of shit. And like some of these vacations, would cost a regular, if you came out of pocket for it, 500 grand, and he's not disclosing this stuff on his financial disclosure forms that he has to submit every year.
Mm.
Clarence Thomas released a statement saying, he's known Harlan Crow for 25 years, and he was told by somebody when he first joined the court that personal giving, so like stuff that is given to you by your friends, doesn't have to be reported. And it's like, dude, you know, let's say that that's true, and lawyers that I've seen on TV have said, yeah, that's true. But like, I think, like in the thing I just said, I don't think Congress meant to give you that much power, right? With student loans or Environmental Protection Agency, right? For the ethics rules, maybe it meant like, hey, Steve, let's go out to Chili's. And you say, okay,
Right.
cool. And then we get them.
I'll
I say,
pay
no,
for
I got it,
dinner.
dog. Right. Yes,
Right.
I got this one. Don't worry about it. It's on me. You know, I think that's what they meant when they said personal giving by friends, not $500,000 fucking vacations. Like flew you to wherever they went on his private jet, paying for hotel. You're
Mhm.
staying on his yacht. All kind of like, come on, dude. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like you and not just that, right? There's this woman I follow on Twitter. She does a lot of legal stuff, but she used to work for the VA, and she posted this thread, right? And where I didn't realize it was tied to this thing until you get to the end, where she kind of like brings the point home. And she says a while back she used to work for the VA out in California at one of their call centers. She was like a supervisor. She wanted to create like an employee of the month award or something like that.
Yeah.
And so she talked to the VA about it. They, after going through this long process, they were like, okay, yeah, you can do it, but you can't spend more than $20. She's like, what the fuck? She was like, so she goes on eBay looking for an award. She finds a plaque or whatever. It was some guy who had got a plaque for bowling, like back in the 1950s, right? And the plaque was like $19 and some change. So she got the plaque off of eBay, and then she found somebody that she knew locally who did like woodwork or something like that, and then got them to like fix the plaque to make it say like employee of the month kind of thing for free,
Right.
right? Then she was like, she reached out to the guy she bought the plaque from, and then he says, oh yeah, the guy, he used to be in the Navy, blah 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 blah. And she was like, oh wow, cool. So she's like, I'm gonna name the award after him, so it's gonna be the Steve Employee of the Month award, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, after she gets all that shit done, she had to go through all this paperwork with the VA, up the chain, shit like that. Shit took 9 months, and they finally approved it for her to start giving out this fucking $20 plaque for Employee of the Month. Now, if some government employee at the VA in California had to go through 9 months of paperwork to spend $20, what the fuck do you think as a Supreme Court justice, $500,000 vacation? You know what I'm saying? Like, how don't you think that shit is not suspect? You know?
Yeah, but I mean, you got to think about, he's a legal, I would say savant, right? He'd have to be a legal savant to be on the Supreme Court, no?
Yeah.
So he's gonna know how to play words is basically what I'm saying.
Right.
He's gonna know the loophole rules, laws, expectations, and he's probably been thinking about, hey, what if this happens? And on the back end, maybe his wife is asking him. He's like, oh, it's okay. I'll just say this, this, and this. I
Yeah.
got it. I got it covered, honey. But,
What we find out in the second story they did was this same billionaire bought real estate from Clarence Thomas. So there was some property that Clarence Thomas owns. He co-owns it with himself, his mother, and then his brother. The dude bought the house for like $133,000, right? And but what's kind of weird about it is like Clarence Thomas owns a third of this property, right?
right.
And I think they said it was 2 years ago, I want to say, on his financial disclosure form, he lists his value in the property as $15,000. So his 1/3 is worth 15 grand, meaning that the whole house is worth 45,000. But the guy paid 133,000 for the house. That sounds like something shady's happening here. You know what I mean? The house didn't increase $100,000 in 2 years, So um and then the guy bought the house, did a bunch of renovations to it, Mind you, Clarence Thomas's 94-year-old mother still lives in that house. So the billionaire guy owns it. The mom still lives there. No indication of the mom's paying rent, right? So people are like, yo, this shit, it looks suspect as fuck. Not to mention, on the year that this happened back in 2014, on his financial disclosure form, there's all kind of shit listed on there, but this transaction is not. And what's unique about this transaction is that they have to do financial disclosure for the Supreme Court justices, or not just Supreme Court justices, but all judges, right? But the law specifically says that they have to disclose real estate sales. If they buy or sell property that's not like their primary residence, they have to disclose it, like legally,
Right.
And so this isn't one of those like, oh, personal giving kind of thing, which means he left the shit off on purpose. Why?
So who makes a determination on whether or not he's out of line or held accountable for this kind of stuff?
So for this thing, with the real estate transaction, for the other stuff, this is an ethics thing, right? But the Supreme Court, the justices on the Supreme Court, they don't have the same ethics rules as every other judge in the United States. So they're supposed to be above reproach, so they don't have those rules,
Right.
don't apply to them. So Congress has been the senator from Rhode Island, especially Sheldon Whitehouse, has been trying to get these ethics rules in the Supreme Court changed for years. And so he's going to be using this as an example to say we need to pass this shit into law. We can't keep letting them, we can't keep letting them say they're going to govern themselves. You know what I mean? So, but for this purchase specifically, because there's laws on the books that say he's supposed to report this shit, it would be the Department of Justice. But it's very likely that they're not going to do anything.
Right. Okay.
So it's just going to be us as the people who are outraged about it, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, outraged. Air quotes.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
Thomas, he's in his late 70s. He's like 78, 79, something like that. Been on
He
the
got
course
high.
for 30 years.
He got high blood pressure or anything? Hypertension. All right. All right. So nothing else really going on. I know you said it would be slow because it's the Montagues versus the Capulets in the freaking in the Senate and the House. So we ain't got nothing going on. I think we did some good stuff today. What else? Anything else that we should cover that I may have forgotten, or we may have forgotten? We hit our binges, NBA playoffs, little Lamar talk.
I don't think so. On did you going back to binges real quick? I watched Turning Red. I know it came out like a year or two ago.
Oh, the cartoon.
Yeah.
The little period cartoon.
Yeah, your kid me like that. It was pretty good.
Yeah. We tried it and he was into it, but not hugely. He likes the singing stuff, but I thought it was an interesting. I thought it was an interesting movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, but other than that, man, I think we got it
with that little bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just thinking, going through my Rolodex. Actually, let me look at my phone because I've been writing topics down if I'm like driving down the highway. I mean, not that I'm using my phone while I drive or anything. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying.
Another one too, man. While you're doing that, on the binges, I know everybody's seen it, but I saw I watched Knocked Up this week. It was on HBO. I haven't seen it in a long time, man.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. I was dying laughing, yo. Oh man, I love that fucking movie.
Classic. Yeah, that was Seth Rogen.
Yeah, Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill.
Yeah,
I can't remember the girl's name.
Oh yeah.
It's like Catherine something.
Heigl.
But yeah, Catherine Heigl.
Yeah, I like her. I like her a lot. But Rogen, I think Rogen. He. I think that's where he like skyrocketed for me. Like he was hilarious in that movie. That was a really good. That one in Superbad. Superbad was another one that always I can go back to. And Old School. Those are the three that I can always go back to, and I know I'm gonna crack up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was on Superbad is actually on HBO right now too. I haven't watched it yet, but it's out there. And they have a. Have you ever seen I Love You Man, which is also one of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that one's on HBO too. I love that movie. When all the red like not the super bad. I saw all of those like when they came out like on DVD back in the day. But I Love You Man is like the one like Seth Rogen. Like I know Seth Rogen's not in it. It's the other guy. I think his name is Jason. Shit.
Sudeikis.
No, not Sudeikis. Not Sudeikis. Sudeikis is
Oh
Ted
no,
Lasso.
Sudeikis. Yeah, yes.
Um,
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, but it's with him and Paul Rudd. That's the only one of those like joints that I actually saw in the movie theater. And I just remember in the movie theater, I was laughing so hard. Like I missed a lot of the movie just from laughing so much. I'm like, I can't wait for this shit to come out on DVD because I gotta watch it again just to catch the shit that I missed from laughing so hard. So
Yeah,
I
they had
love that one, man.
those parts that were they always have those parts that like you got to have like a weird dark kind of sense of humor like Jonah Hill with the Schmorshman clinic. Like I
Oh yeah,
was
yeah.
screaming in the movie theater and people were looking back like, what are you laughing at? Like it
It's nice. She
yeah.
should get it taken care of. She should go to the sportsman clinic and get it taken care of.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite movies, man. um all right, yeah, I don't have anything else here that we have to address.
All right.
So with that, I will hand the reins over to you and allow you to take us out.
All right. Hey, everybody. We definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us this morning on this episode of the Castworthy podcast. For those of you who listen live, we definitely appreciate you taking that time out of your weekend. For those who listen when the episode posts, we appreciate your time as well. Uh, Also, let me back up a second and say, don't forget to make that phone call, send a text message, reach out to your people, let them know you're thinking about them. Tomorrow's not promised, like we talked about in succession, like we talked about, when Steve mentioned his father, my mom. You just never know what's going to happen to folks, Jamie Foxx, whatever. So reach out to your people, let them know that you care about them, just because you never know when you're gonna have that last conversation with them. But yeah, thank you guys for rocking with us. You can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching Castworthy. You can also find us on any of our social media by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, leave a like. You can comment, share, subscribe, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend. We definitely would appreciate it. And as always, we will see you guys next week with another episode of the Castworthy podcast. And to my man EJ, hopefully you're enjoying that brunch with the old lady, a old lady, whatever the term is,
A bunch of
enjoy.
old ladies, a few old ladies.
And with that, man, we will see you guys on the next one. We out. We love you. Peace.